All right, everybody have a seat. State may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, I believe when we left off, I had presented you with State's Exhibit number 66 and 68. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And this is a bullet jacket fragment and also a bullet or projectile. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And this is still part of 15-133920 PBSO case number?
Yes, sir.
And if you would, please describe in detail the examinations that you made on these two objects separately, and also any conclusions that you reached.
The first one is a fired bullet. It's a jacketed hollow point bullet, 40 caliber. It's got 6 rifling on it. And my conclusion was also inconclusive to both Glock pistols.
Okay. And then as far as the fragment?
The copper jacket fragment was also a 40 caliber jacket fragment. I could see 5 land impressions. There were 5 visible, but there was enough spacing there for a 6th one, and it was right twist, similar to the Glocks. And I compared those two to both submitted Glocks with inconclusive results also.
And so both of them, same thing. Glock, 40 caliber, however, unable to identify them to a specific firearm.
Correct.
But they would have been consistent to have been fired out of a Model 27 Glock 40 caliber pistol.
Yes, those class characteristics were the same.
And if you would, sir, when you are analyzing a bullet such as this that doesn't have enough individual characteristics to compare to a gun, what things are you looking at to determine whether or not it's of this 40 caliber class?
I measure the diameter of the bullet, and in this particular case, the diameter is approximately 0.40 inches, which is indicative of a 40 caliber. If it were 0.45, it would be a 45 caliber. If it was 0.22, it would be a 22 caliber. So I'm looking for that, the diameter. I'm also measuring the weight of the bullet. If I do have a complete bullet without pieces missing, I weigh it, and that helps me also determine the caliber of the bullet.
And you just mentioned that when you're measuring the diameter of the actual projectile, that is what tells you what class or caliber that projectile is?
That's correct.
And so the larger the number, or the higher the caliber, then the larger the actual projectile or bullet that's being fired. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so a 40 caliber is going to be larger when it tears through an object than a 380 would be.
Yes, it would be larger in size.
I have no further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
All right, so you testified that the one of the rounds that you examined was a hollow point round, correct?
Yes, the fired bullets were all hollow point bullets.
And you testified that those bullets are designed with that hollow tip so that they mushroom out and therefore don't perforate the body. They don't go all the way through.
Yes, that's the design goal, is so that they don't penetrate and continue on.
And that's a safety factor because you don't want it to go through the body and then hit another object, correct?
Correct.
You also testified that most guns are right-handed. They're designed, in other words, they're designed for the right-handed shooter.
Yes, sir, most are.
And that's because the thumb safety release is to be operated by the right-hand thumb.
Correct.
And in fact, that Jimenez Arms was a right thumb safety, correct?
Yes, sir.
But there are left-handed guns, aren't there?
Yes, there are.
And there's plenty of ambidextrous guns. In other words, the safety can be operated on either side, correct?
Yes, sir.
And there are plenty of guns that are no thumb safety. There's just no thumb safety on either side, correct?
Correct.
All right. The Jimenez Arms was fully operational, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
And the safety was fully operational, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
And it takes about, what, I don't know, half a second to flick the safety off with your thumb?
Yeah, as fast as you could.
Objection, just based on his level of knowledge, is the outside of scope.
Do you know, sir? Do you know the answer to that question?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
You could flick the switch as fast as you can pop your thumb up.
And if that gun is pointed at a person, that person can't tell whether the safety's on or off, can they? Want me to rephrase it?
Yes, sir.
So if I had the gun and I pointed it at a person, that person that I'm pointing it at can't tell whether the safety is on or off, can they?
Not unless they're close enough to observe the safety, but from a distance of you and I could not tell.
Thank you.
Any redirect?
Sure, Your Honor. Thank you. And obviously, different types of guns have all kinds of different potential types of safeties, correct, sir?
Yes, that's correct.
Kimbers have safeties on the grip, where you actually grip it, correct?
Correct.
Glocks, like the one that the defendant fired when he shot the round that killed Corey Jones, that's got a trigger safety, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
And so your finger actually has to be around the entire trigger to depress that safety and utilize it.
That's correct.
And that way, you don't have to take the time to even flick anything with your thumb. You just, if you're engaging that trigger, you're engaging that trigger safety.
Yes, with the Glock, yes, that's correct.
And then there's ones like this that have a safety commonly on that, by that left thumb, because, that right thumb, because that's where it's going to be easiest to hit, right?
Yes, sir.
And if a safety is working properly and the safety is engaged, firearm's not going to fire, is it?
That's correct.
If there's no bullet actually in the chamber of a gun, you pull that trigger, firearm's not going to fire, is it?
That's correct.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor?
You may step down, sir. Watch your step. State call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, the state calls Jacob Cabelli.
Jacob Cabelli, please.
Approach, gather the evidence, Your Honor.
Mr. Cabelli, come on up, sir. Meet Deputy Dunkley in the middle here. When you get there, raise your right hand, face the clerk for me.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
You're going to have a seat right up here. The chair swivels, rolls. Get it where you're comfortable. Grab the microphone. Put it close to your mouth. Tell us your full name and spell it.
Jacob Cabelli, Jacobelli.
Go ahead, state.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning.
Morning.
Mr. Cabelli, can you please tell us where you are currently employed?
I am an advanced visual information specialist at the Department of Defense.
Okay. And how long have you been in that role?
About 2 years.
Okay. Prior to working with the Department of Defense, were you employed for or with another federal government agency?
That's correct. I was a visual information specialist with the FBI.
And what does a visual information specialist do?
Part of our role was to use 3D laser scanners and total station equipment to collect information and build 3D models from that information.
Okay. And for my purposes, I may need you to oversimplify some of the terms and the language that you use, okay? As a part of your job at the FBI as a visual information specialist, did you provide crime scene diagrams?
That's correct. We would create diagrams from the information provided.
Would some of those diagrams be completed as 3D diagrams or 3D models?
Yes, some of them would be animated videos showing 3D environments, and other ones would be 2D graphics.
And are you able to sort of recreate a crime scene in 3D?
Sometimes based on the information provided, we are able to create.
And do those 3D models, or are you able to represent where various pieces of evidence or different items at a scene were located?
Yes, if that evidence was documented and the information is provided to us, we can do that.
Do you know if you did any of that as it relates to the case that we're here for today?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And in addition to 3D models and 3D graphics, did you also do work or provide assistance in the determination of a bullet trajectory?
I did create graphics with a firearms examiner showing a bullet trajectory for this case.
So before we get to your your assignments in this case, I want to just talk a little bit more about yourself. Can you tell us what your educational background is?
Yes, I have a degree in computer science where I took classes using 3D software programs.
And how about your work experience? After you graduated from college, did you immediately enter into the workforce in your current profession?
I have been working with 3D software for the past 18 years at various stages.
All right. And in your 18 years of experience, have you performed the task or similar tasks to what you were asked to do in this case?
Yes,
Okay, and that would be 3D models and preparation of graphics.
that's correct.
Now, I want to show you what's already been entered into evidence as states Exhibit 76, letter E. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Do you recognize what's in that photograph?
I do.
Okay, and is this an item of evidence that you would have handled at some point while you were involved in this case?
That's correct.
And can you tell us, Mr. Cabelli, what is depicted in this photograph?
What's depicted in this photograph is a portion of the stump that has 2 nail holes that were intentionally nailed into the stump in between the hole that went into the stump.
Now, as someone who does 3D modeling and graphic design, why is it that you would have been provided this tree stump?
Because the task at hand that was requested of us was to create graphics showing the trajectory without damaging the object.
Now, how do you show what might be inside or around that tree without damaging the piece of evidence itself?
So in this case, the tree stump was shipped to the FBI laboratory, and we put it through an X-ray machine that was able to take a series of graphics layered, showing the different layers through the object.
And about how many X-rays do you think you were, and let me ask you, were you present while the X-rays were taken?
I was present while it was set up.
Okay, and is this like a similar X-ray machine that you would see in a doctor's office, or is it something a little more
I think it's
advanced?
a little more complicated.
Okay. Can you just describe for us what the process is or what it consists of getting an X-ray of this particular piece of evidence?
So we laid the evidence in the envelope for the machine, and we set up the parameters so that it would take a high level of slices and turn each of those slices into a graphic that we could use. And we were able to select the graphic that showed the damage going in and the object inside the stump.
Now, is it typical in your role as a visual information specialist to assist local agencies with tasks such as this?
Many of the graphics and video animations that I've produced have been to assist local agencies, yes.
And it is common for the FBI to lend specialists and its resources to help local agencies?
That's correct.
So when you received this item, you completed the X-ray, and what did you do with that X-ray once you, I guess, received it from the machine, the X-ray machine?
I brought the relevant slices that showed the damage to the firearms examiner, Eric Smith, and he was able to draw the center of the impact point, the center of the object inside the stump, and then draw a line connecting the 2 dots to depict the trajectory.
And when you say trajectory, is that synonymous with direction of travel of a bullet?
That's correct.
Okay, Your Honor, may I approach what's marked for identification only as State's Composite Exhibit 82 A and B? Thank you. Can you take a look at those images, Mr. Cabelli?
Yes,
And do you recognize them?
I do.
All right, and the jury is not going to see them at this time, but can you explain what we see in those images, or what we will see?
So one is...
Pause for a second. Yeah, sure.
Okay. And I think my question I left off with is, can you describe for us what we see in that image? And, well, first, is it one of the X-rays that you were present for?
Yes, it
And
was.
it's an X-ray of the tree stump that we just saw?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Can you just describe for us what's in that image?
So one is a top-down view of the appropriate slice that showed the damage and the object inside the stump, and one is a side view showing the damage and the object that is inside the stump.
Okay. And when you're passing it through the X-ray, are you able to tell if there's anything metallic, or are you able to identify what is, what the material is inside of the tree?
The metallic objects do turn a white, so you can see the profile of those objects. So the nail and the object inside did turn white.
And after you performed the X-ray of the top-down and the, I guess, lateral view of the tree, what did you do with those X-ray diagrams?
So as I said, I brought those diagrams to the firearms examiner, Eric Smith, and he was able to draw 2 points. One is the entrance point and one is the final resting point of the object, and then connect those 2 points with a line.
Okay. And is that depicted on the composite exhibit that you have?
That is.
And what color is the line that he drew on that exhibit?
He drew it in red.
And so after Mr. Smith drew the line and connected the dots, did those images go back, or were they returned to you?
Yes. I took those images and made a digital copy of them, and then brought that into a 3D software program where I combined that with ferro-arm laser scan data of the branch.
Okay. And when you say ferro arm laser scan data, what is that? What is the ferro arm laser?
So we used an apparatus that's used, it's a commercially available product, used in a lot of manufacturing industries, and we were able to operate the device to collect information on the outside of the stump that we had in our possession. And that information was points that were put into a 3D software program, and a mesh was made around that so we could view the object.
So just so that it's clear, you have a device that allows you to see inside of the tree, and then there's also a device that allows you to capture the exterior of the tree. Is that pretty
That's
accurate?
correct, yes.
All right. And that's to aid you in preparing something to be used as a diagram or as evidence in this case?
We create graphics that accompany the firearms examiner's report.
Okay. Now, so after you received the X-rays back from Mr. Smith with his red line drawn through them, you said that you would run the ferro laser arm scan. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And then once you have both of those diagrams the way that you want them, what is the next step in the process?
So within the 3D software program, we can align the data so that the profile of the branch lines up from the X-ray with the profile of the branch from the 3D ferro laser scan data.
And does that help you? Does that help you and also help Mr. Smith explain what the trajectory of a bullet was?
It helps me create graphics
Okay.
that he can approve.
Okay. And did you create a graphic that he was able to approve?
I did.
Your Honor, may I approach with what is marked for identification only as states composite exhibit number 83, A and B?
Yes.
Can you take a look at those images?
I can.
And do you recognize them?
I do.
All right. And what do you recognize them as?
Same ruling.
These are graphics that I produced to accompany the firearms report.
All right. So are those, do those diagrams or graphics now provide the trajectory path as was provided to you by Mr. Smith?
That's correct. They
Okay.
do represent that.
And so just so it's clear, you don't determine the trajectory, you just put it in a demonstrative type of graphic.
That's
Is that
correct.
accurate?
Yes.
And is that what you did in that composite that I just brought up?
Yes.
Okay. And so it says on there, plus or minus 3 degrees. Can you explain what that means?
That's something that the firearms examiner would determine as the cone
Okay.
for the trajectory that they would like to.
And when you say the cone, he tells you what that is, and then what do you do with that information in order to represent a cone on the graphic?
Yep. It's okay. Come on up. Everybody relax. Mine says Foo Fighters when my phone goes off. Everybody relax. We're all good. One of these days is actual song. So you want to come up? Come on up.
Okay, I think we left off talking about the plus or minus margin of error. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And hypothetically speaking, how do you depict that in the graphics that you prepare?
So within the 3D software programs, we have the ability to create that object.
All right. And if Mr. Smith or anybody gives you a plus or minus area of error, do you always make sure that you indicate that on your graphic that you prepare?
We produce the graphics so that the firearms examiner is willing to approve them.
And what color on the graphic that I provided, which is states Exhibit 82, what color is that particular portion of the graphic?
That object is green.
Would be green? And is it represented to look like a cone?
It is.
Now, before you complete your work and the work and provide a final document, do you also make sure that it's reviewed by Mr. Smith?
That's correct.
And what's the purpose of that?
Until he approves the graphic, we always have the words preliminary, and then we don't have the text saying this graphic supports an FBI laboratory report with the report number and the date.
Okay. And just like I said earlier, I want to make it clear that you provide a visual for what Mr. Smith determines is the trajectory. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
And is that what you did in this case?
That is what I did in this.
Now, do the two exhibits that I just provided to you, I believe they are 82 and 83, do they fairly and accurately depict what you provided and the work that you performed in this case as it relates to the trajectory?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, I want to talk about other tasks that you were asked to perform in this case. Aside from working with the tree stump, were you asked to do anything else in this case?
Yes, I was provided with the laser scan data that was taken at the scene, in addition to the survey data that was taken by the FBI team to create graphics showing the evidence that was documented.
And we talked a little about laser scan data, I think a few days ago. Are you referring to Leica data?
Yes, in this situation, it was a Leica laser scanner, which is set up on a tripod to collect information from the area.
And so that we all are on the same page about Leica data, can you tell us how the Leica scanner works?
So it's a tripod-based scanner, and it shoots out a laser, and the laser is at a specific angle measurement, horizontally and vertically, and it gets a distance measurement back. In addition to that, it also captures the color value. And just like a camera, it's able to show you all that information, but in this case, it's also containing the 3D information, so you can bring that data into 3D software and measure from point to point.
Now, does Leica measure the distance between objects, the scanner?
The information captured allows you to measure between point to point, so between objects.
And so the example that I like to use is if we were to, let's say, use Leica scanner in our backyard, and we have a pool, and we have maybe a tree house, we may have a slide and a swing set. If you were to put the Leica scanner out in your backyard and just run it how you normally run it, would you be able to pick up and see where each of those items are positioned in your backyard?
You would.
Would you be able to measure or use it to measure the distance between, let's say, your pool and your tree house?
That's correct.
And the pool to your porch?
That's correct.
Okay. And is that the type of data relied upon by contractors and surveyors in the construction industry?
Yes, this is commercially available equipment used by the construction industry.
Now, did you receive that Leica scan data from a local law enforcement agency?
Yes, it was collected from a local law enforcement agency.
All right. And once you received those numbers or the data and those measurements, what did you do with that information as it
So
relates to this case?
I brought that information into a 3D software program where I could look at it and align other information to it.
And when you say align other information, tell us specifically what information you were able to bring into your 3D software and how you were able to depict the crime scene as it relates to this case.
So I was able to bring in the Leica laser scan data in addition to the survey data, which is individually labeled points collected by the FBI team. And in addition to that, I also brought in an aerial image, I believe it was a Google image, so that I could have that as an underlay.
Okay. Now, you're not drawing, gone are the days of like drawing a scene. Is that right? It's pretty high tech now. So did you get an aerial or Google map image of the general vicinity of where this crime occurred, where the incident occurred?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And what did you do with that image and the Leica data to recreate the scene evidence?
So I began creating the scene in 3D so that we could create an animated video showing the camera moving around and show where objects were at the time of that.
And the objects that are depicted in your 3D graphics and in your 3D model, are the position and placement of those items based on the Leica data that you received from the local agency?
That's correct. Everything was drawn based on that data.
Okay, so you didn't just drop things where you felt like they should go?
No.
All right. Do you also know, in addition to Mr. Smith, a woman by the name of Suzanne Brown?
That's correct.
And did you work with her while you were at the FBI?
Yes, I did.
And was her position the same or similar to yours?
At the time, it was the same title, yes.
Okay. Now, do you know if Ms. Brown also performed work on this case?
Yes, she did.
Okay. And specifically, if you know, what was her role?
She helped put together an interactive using the data that I provided to her.
And what specific data did you provide to her?
I provided 2 animation video fly-throughs of the 3D environment that I created, in addition to a graphic, which is that top-down image showing where the evidence was collected in the Leica data on the Google image that we used.
Okay. And just so that I understand, you have a map that you're able to pull off of Google Map and place items that were found on the crime scene in their respective spots. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then you're able, through the software that you use, put a camera into that and sort of move it around so that we can see different angles?
That's correct.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, did you answer that last question about the camera? You said a fly-through camera. Are you able to fly through the 3D model that you prepared with a camera?
Yes, we're able to create a camera and move the camera around in the 3D software program.
And what software program is that you use to prepare it?
In this case, I used a program called Rhinoceros.
And is Rhinoceros a software program regularly used by visual graphics designers or those who perform functions like 3D graphics and modeling?
It is a commercially available software program used by many people in the industry.
Okay. And is it used regularly with the FBI?
It is.
Now, we talked a little bit, or you spoke just briefly about information that you provided to Ms. Brown. And you said that Suzanne Brown, you provided the 3D modeling as well as the aerial view of the crime scene. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And did you ever see Ms. Brown's finished product?
I have seen it, yes.
Okay, and does it represent and fairly depict the information and the graphics that you provided to her?
It does seem to.
Did you prepare any additional graphics or do any other work related to this case?
A lot of the information that was provided to me, I passed on to Suzanne.
Okay, one moment, Your Honor. Thank you, Mr. Cabelli. Thank you, Judge. No further questions.
Cross-examination? Thank you, Mr. Cabelli. No further questions. Great. You may step down. Watch your step, sir. Thank you. State, call your next witness.
May we approach?
Yep. Case, how we've been proceeding, we said we'd be hopefully done before lunch. We were worried, because I don't want you to starve on me, but we're done. We're done for the morning. We're done for the day, for you. We're going to stay here and do some things to make sure that we keep moving efficiently. And so you start your weekend early or go to work, whatever you want to. Yeah, like I told you, I had a juror one time ask me, "Are you going to tell my employer where I am?" I said, "I am not going to tell your employer where you are. You deserve a break. You've been working very, very hard. And I thoroughly appreciate your attention and your efforts. I think you guys need a rest. So that'll work out just fine. I expect a very full and looking for the right word, we'll have a full day on Monday. So be ready to grapple with that. If I just say we're going to do the same drill on Monday morning, nobody has any conflicts, issues. Okay, we're going to lock up your pads and all your notes. Nobody reads them. Make sure that all your documents that we've given you are tucked into your pad. Does anybody have any questions? You know what I'm going to say now then. Nobody has any questions. So you have a whole weekend to yourself. And I've attempted to be very vigilant about these things. And so I'm ordering you. Do not read anything. Do not watch anything. You promised me also you wouldn't go to the scene, remember? And hopefully I haven't caused anybody a real hardship. My wife would have yelled a long time ago because the mall's right there, but now this online thing, I have a box at my door every day. So everybody's okay with all that, right? And then I'm going to ask you to make sure you're honest with me. On Monday morning, I'll ask again. It's every day. Every day we end like that, and every day we'll start like that. So unless anybody has any questions, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Do not go on the exit. Do not stop. Do not take photographs without causing yourself any seriously, without causing yourself any kind of safety issue. Try not to even look over that way. Okay, is that fair enough? And then I ask everybody to turn your pads upside down. We'll collect them. Have a wonderful weekend. The deputies will meet you inside the room and take care of you. And we'll see you back Monday morning, same time, same place.